I'm following up on the video I posted recently about the data breach over at CIRO, that's the Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization, because I got the letter, this one right here. I got this from CIRO addressed to me personally. And yes, I am one of the 750,000 or so Canadian victims. Now, in my first video, if you saw that, I summarized what CIRO had said publicly, but you get the letter, you read through it, and it tells a different story, and I think a bit of a more troubling one. So I want to talk about that today. The letter says very plainly that CIRO experienced a cybersecurity incident that involved unauthorized access to your personal information. It confirms the date, way back in August 11th, 2025, and it says that after their investigation, your personal information was accessed during this incident. Then it goes on to list personally, specifically, what information of mine was exposed. It says my address, my date of birth, my phone number, and my fax number. And that is strange because I didn't even know I had a fax number. I can't remember the last time I had one, but I guess from way back in the day, I've been doing this quite a while. I guess they've still got it on file there. That is all spelled out clearly in the letter. And that alone is enough. That piece of information is already enough to establish identity fraud. But remember, publicly, they also acknowledge that in a lot of cases, the breach included phone numbers, annual income, social insurance numbers, government-issued ID numbers, investment account numbers, and investment statements. Now in mine, it says address, date of birth, phone, and fax. So the question I have is, does this risk vary by person? Did other investors get a different letter? If you did, if you're watching this and you did get a letter, leave a comment and share your story with the audience here. I promise I will follow up in a future video. Now, what the letter doesn't say is relevant here. It doesn't tell me how many times the data was copied. It doesn't tell me where it went, who accessed it. It doesn't tell me whether this breach was just a one-time shot or whether it happened over multiple occasions. Most importantly, it doesn't tell me whether that data has been sold. It just says that they've investigated it, and it says they regret it. To be fair, they sincerely regret it, but that's it. That is their solution. The core of their response is that they're offering credit monitoring services for a period of 2 years with TransUnion and Equifax. 2 years. That's the solution. They also say they have no evidence that this information has been misused. Now, I'm not sure whether that sounds particularly reassuring to you, but to me it doesn't. From what I've read, most stolen identity does not get used immediately. Most of it is stored, it's resold, it's combined with other breaches, and in many cases, it's used years later. Once we've sort of had a chance to digest this and let our guards down. And I don't think that 2 years is a realistic number. First off, when is my social insurance number going to expire? Never, right? My date of birth isn't going to change. That's going to stay the same. Basically, my identity doesn't change. The history of this type of event shows that clearly. For example, in the Equifax breach back in 2017, millions of people were exposed. Security researchers say there that not much of that data appeared for sale until well after a year later in this case. And if you look at the 2014 Anthem healthcare breach, that was a huge breach. Regulators warned right from the beginning that it is a decades-long risk, not a 2-year risk. And in this day and age especially, identity does not show up as, whoa, someone applied for a credit card. That's the way they used to do it today. Shows up as fake tax filings, benefit fraud, loans that are taken out in many cases years and years later, or problems when you go to retire, file for your CRA, for your CPP, for example, your OAS, when you try and borrow or save money, and that happens long, sometimes years and years after that free monitoring period ends. There's another line in this letter that caught my attention. It's in the FAQ section, and it really bothers me. It says that CIRO will delete investor information when it's no longer required, but we are unable to process individual deletion requests. So I'm not trying to be overly snarky here, but I am going to summarize. They collect your most sensitive financial identity, they store it, they lose control of it, then they get to say when and who will delete it. Yeah, I don't get a say in that. And that should make every investor at least uncomfortable. When I take this, I didn't like getting the letter. I came back from some time away from home, and that was sitting there waiting for me. My first reaction, I was inquisitive. I'm not overly angry here. I do realize that this type of thing happens all the time. That's one of the risks you take when you give your information, practically when you want to do anything these days. And I'm certainly not trying to sensationalize this, but I am deeply unimpressed with how thin this response from CIRO is. 2 years of monitoring for a lifetime identifier. They did give a polite apology. They gave some vague assurances, but that certainly is not accountability. I see that more as damage control. Now, what I think investors should actually do, enroll in the credit monitoring if you are a victim and if you got one of these letters, absolutely do that. I did it. The process is fairly painless. Ironically, I thought to sign up, you need to enter a whole bunch of what? Of course, your personal information into the Equifax form so that they can match you up to with the breached information. But also, you should place fraud alerts with both credit bureaus. You should keep records of this letter permanently, monitor your CRA accounts, monitor your brokerage accounts as well. This is not the end of the world, but it's certainly not something that I should be using up a lot of my spare time to take care of, right? I'm going to assume this is a long-term issue, not a short-term one, because that is what history, that's what it tells us, right? I said in my first video that this breach was high risk, and after I've read the actual letter, I'm actually even more convinced of that. Again, not because of what it says necessarily, but because of what it doesn't say. And I'll just go back to that. 2 years of monitoring is a short-term bandage on a long-term wound. Now, leave a comment if you want to share your story. If you got one of these letters, tell us about it. If you missed the original video, I'll put a link for it right on the screen here. As always, thank you for watching. I've got to go now and monitor my credit.